I'm here today with Debbie Dadey, the very popular and prolific author or co-author of about 150 books for children. Most of her books appear in series, such as the very popular Adventures of the Bailey School Kids, Ghostville Elementary, The Swamp Monster in Third Grade, and Keystone, the Key Holders series. And Debbie has a new series out called Mermaid Tails, and book 1, Trouble at Trident Academy, will be in stores on May 8th of this year.
And actually, book 2 will be also available that day, and that is Battle of the Best Friends.
So there you go. So 2 books out. That's awesome. So thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about your new series, Mermaid Tails?
Certainly. I'm very excited about it. I've had a lot of fun writing it. I think I am channeling my inner girl in this series more than I ever have with any series. I've always been trying to focus my stories on books for reluctant readers. Mm-hmm. And I think this fits the bill because it's a lot of adventure under the sea, mm-hmm. with a lot of different mer characters, mer boys and mer girls. We have a bully, a mer bully, mm-hmm. to deal with. We have a class clown bully, class clown merboy, and just a fun school-based story, mm-hmm. With the main character Shelley and her friend Echo having some adventures.
Mm-hmm. Great. Now, I've noticed that a lot of your series, the concepts basically take something very familiar, like a school situation, and pair it with something more out of the ordinary, or even a little weird, like in the Bailey School Kids series, the kids were normal, the adults were a little bizarre in the books. And in this, you've got these third grade girls and third grade classrooms with a lot of very typical type situations, but they're mermaids.
Yeah, so I think that's good with any story, right. Taking something that kids or adults know, mm-hmm. and just twisting it a little bit to make it a little different. Mm-hmm. Because I think kids want to read about things that they know about because they feel comfortable, mm-hmm. but it makes it exciting when there's a little twist.
Right. And do you think it's important that series have some sort of hook like that, where it's easy to identify how this story is unique and different from other, say, school stories that are out there?
I don't think you're going to sell a series unless you have some kind of hook like that.
Okay.
And actually, this series I did not sell through a proposal. An editor came to me through my website. My website has a way to contact me, and if you're a writer and you don't have a way to contact you through your website, you need to have a way to contact you through your website. She contacted me through my website and said, I have an idea. Would you be interested? I'm going like, well, I'm intrigued. What do you have in mind? And she said she thinks mermaids is the next big thing, mm-hmm. and would I be interested in doing something along those lines? And I said, sounds fun.
Nice. Well, I've heard other editors say mermaids are the next big thing, so hopefully you're on the cusp of the trend, and you can set the trend.
Oh, sounds great. It's a lot of fun. I've had so much fun writing what I hope is an exciting story, and having a lot of action, but also putting in characters from creatures from the ocean, mm-hmm. and learning about those creatures, right. And then putting a glossary at the end of the book, so that kids can not only hopefully have fun reading the story, but also maybe learn a little bit along the way.
Right. Now, I'm curious, when you're writing a series like this, where you have real ocean creatures within the book, how realistic do you have to stay, because your characters are also mermaids?
That's true.
And they're interacting with these creatures. So where do you draw the line for yourself as an author?
Well, with the creatures, I try to be very mm-hmm. exact as I can be. For instance, with the third book, it's called A Whale of a Tale, and that comes out in August. They swim with the whales, with mm-hmm. humpback whales. Well, I did a tremendous amount of research on humpback whales, and I also talked with my nephew who has swam with humpback whales. He was a Navy SEAL, and I was talking with him. He said, well, yeah, that was the most cool thing I ever did, swimming with humpback whales. And so he was telling me about it, and I was able to, incorporate that mm-hmm. into the story. So I think doing the research and trying to make it as realistic as possible mm-hmm. makes it the mermaids more real, and the merboys more real.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Now,
because they are real.
Of course they are.
You never know.
Now, when you're conceiving a series and starting to write it, how far ahead do you plan your plots? How many books ahead do you usually think through when you're beginning a series?
Well, usually about 4.
Okay.
And with the Mermaid Tails, it was 4. With the Keyholder series that I wrote with Marsha Jones, we worked on that first 4, the arc, if you would be, for the first 4 books for a year. Back and forth with our editor before we actually even wrote the first book. So a lot of planning can go in it, into it. When I did the proposal for the Mermaid Tails, even though she'd asked me to write it, I still did a proposal that she could tell whether she liked it or not, and which direction she wanted to go. It was about 20 pages of character sketches, of possible story ideas, of outline for the first book, and some sample chapters.
Wow. Okay, so quite a bit of thought. And I imagine if you do have a story arc that goes through the entire series, it is very important to plot that out ahead of time so you kind of know where you're going with each book. Right.
Well, I think with younger children, the short chapter book or chapter book level, it's the characters, I think, that mostly carry with them. But I think they enjoy seeing the same repeat characters, and even if they don't catch the story arc, they know the character, and they kind of see that repetition, and maybe they do understand that, this is a progression, a growth of that character.
Now, speaking of characters, chapter books often have several characters who are the same age. So you've got a group of kids featured in the book. How do you make each of those characters unique enough that they stand out from the other ones?
Well, in a way, I start out with them being very stereotypical. One's a smart one, one's a silly one, one's a tomboy, and then hopefully they grow from that. But I think if you kind of start out with that, niching them in that way, it helps you separate them yourself, because if you don't understand your characters, your reader's certainly not going to. So I do character sketches on my characters, and for the instance with the Bailey School Kids books, I have a book this thick of character sketches of where the characters live, a map of their city, and even maps of like their houses and where they live, and so that helps you to know the characters better, and if you know them better, hopefully your reader will.
Well, and it helps you keep those details consistent from one book to the next, because the kids will pick up on it if you mess up.
They'll write you a letter. In book 27 on page 32, why did that character say this? And they'll ask you this. They'll either write you or they'll ask you this in the middle of a school visit, and you're going like, 27 pages. You're trying to figure out exactly what they're talking about.
Right.
But they catch any little discrepancy.
Yeah. What are some of the other things that writers of chapter books have to think about from a writing standpoint that are important for this age group?
Well, writing chapter books is easier for me than writing any other level, because I basically have a third grade mentality, I guess. It just, I think you sort of fall into what's comfortable for you and what you like, and I just really enjoy writing for this level. But I think it's important to have a lot of action, and to keep that action consistent and hopefully growing towards your climax, but also to have a lot of dialogue. When Marsha Jones and I first started writing the Bailey School Kids books, we actually sat down and we chatted out the dialogue. We were actually the characters, and we'd say, well, she would say this next, or she would say that next, and we would kind of do it that way, and I think that's why we had a lot of dialogue. And if you have a chapter book that doesn't have a lot of white space on a page, I think you need to go back in and see what's wrong with that page, because I think kids look at a page that's real dense with text, and it frightens them for one thing. They're like, I don't want to read that. But it also, if you have dialogue, it really moves the story along, I think. And I think you need to be aware of that when you're writing a story.
Do you worry about how many chapters you have, or how many words are in each chapter, or anything like that? I
don't at first, but I know that that's something that publishers do think about. So I always try to make my chapters, somehow make them similar, so that they're not one real short and one real long. Although I do have one in the book I just finished that one of the last chapters is quite a bit shorter, and I thought the way it worked out, I think it would work out fine. So I guess it's not a cut and dry thing, but it's something I try to do.
Okay. Now, you've been writing for a long time. You've been in the publishing business for a long time. So have I. So.
Well, when the teachers of the kids that you're speaking with say, "Oh, I loved your books when I was a kid," you've been writing for a long time.
Obviously, publishing's changed a lot since you got started. Is there anything that you have to do differently now because of the way the business has changed, either in your writing or in how you market your books?
Well, I know there are books that I have had rejected that I could have sold definitely 20 years ago. And in a heartbeat. And I was at a talk recently, and there were about 5 authors who said that it's much harder to sell a book nowadays than it used to be.
Okay.
I guess the golden age was 10, 20 years ago, and it's a lot harder now, I think. But with ebooks, maybe that's going to change. People looking for ideas for stories to publish online. But I think it is harder definitely to get a book published. But a really, really good book would have been published anytime.
Right.
Something that I do that I never have done before is I do a lot more promotion online. I've always tried to have a good website, but I try now to do Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Goodreads and some different things like that to try to promote myself a little bit more. And I've always done a lot of school visits, and I think those are very helpful. Because if one school likes you, they'll tell another school, and hopefully it'll snowball that not only can you hopefully sell a lot of books, but hopefully, word of mouth. Kids, if one kid likes your story, they're going to tell another. They're going to tell their cousin who lives, in another state, and hopefully the word about your stories will spread.
Exactly, yeah. Now, when you do Facebook and communicate with people, maybe via your website, are you mainly communicating with kids, do you think, or are you communicating with teachers? Or their parents? Who do you think?
Well, I would hope it would be their parents or teachers, because my readership should not be on Facebook and they should not be on Twitter, but that doesn't mean that they aren't. Another thing I do for teachers and parents too is I do a newsletter, and I've done that for quite a while, just telling about things that I'm doing. I also put in contests that I find about, writing contests or any kind of thing that relates to reading or writing. That somebody might be interested in.
Right.
And so that's a monthly newsletter that I put out.
And is that an email newsletter that you send out?
Yes.
Okay.
And I used to do it very sporadically, but now I do it faithfully once a month.
Great. You must be very organized.
Yeah.
Now, your website is great. It's got so much great information on it. It's also got a lot of great things for teachers on it. You've got some fun things for kids on the website. And one of the things that I love is you also have a section for writers. And I know that you created these writing tips for kids, but I think that everybody who wants to write for kids should go and listen to them because they're really good.
Oh, thank you.
And you presented a lot of the information in a very entertaining way, which we all appreciate.
Oh, do you like my really silly video?
Yes, I do. I liked your video a lot.
My hamburger video?
Yeah. But you made some great points with it about creating a story and about rejecting that stale idea.
Oh, the stale bun from the hamburger?
Yes. So I thought that was wonderful.
Thanks.
You talked about school visits. Anything else promotion-wise that you think is important for authors to do? I know you also do a lot of book signings. Have you gotten into Skype with schools?
Oh, I do
like
Skype
that?
with. Right now, I do Skype for free. That may change, but right now I do them for free. Back to Facebook. A lot of author friends of mine do Facebook, and they have a personal page. Well, I have a personal page, but I have a fan page. And that, I understand, is what an author really should have if they want to have people know about them that they don't know. Somebody who lives far, far away wants to find out about them, and they look on Facebook and find them. They don't want to be friends with that person, because they don't know that person. It could be a mass murderer or whatever, but they would like them to learn about them. So they should have a fan page, which is totally different, where you have likes and not friends.
Okay.
So that's something that I've just learned recently, and I do have a fan page, which my daughter started for me, but I've had some help fixing it up a little bit.
Good, good.
Yeah, if there's anything you want to know about technology, ask a teenager. You don't have to spend a fortune on it,
Right.
just ask a teenager.
Yeah, they can do it really fast.
It's amazing.
Okay. Well, Debbie, thank you for taking time with us today. It's been fun, and good luck with your new series,
Thank you.
Mermaid Tails, and hopefully you'll see us next time you're in town.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks.